Hey everyone, welcome back to G-Tech Motorworks. Today we're going to talk about Audi's RS6. 600 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 faster than you can say 0 to 60. There's a reason why it's been dubbed the supercar killer. Let's find out whether it's more reliable than a supercar. We've discussed it before, but misfires. Most common issue on these core packs, there's a lot of heat under these bonnets. It's a massive engine shoehorned into the front. We've got the turbos on the top, we've got the exhausts on the side, we've got all that heat floating around. We've got the ignition coils which are made of plastic. They're not brilliant. Going to cause a misfire. With regards to injectors and things like that, they certainly don't suffer from injectors the same as the previous models do. Now that these are starting to get a little bit older, a couple of things you do have to watch out for, more age-related seals, particularly coolant and oil seals. There's various ones here, there and everywhere. Not a massive issue, again, just something you need to watch out for. There were a couple of recalls on these earlier ones. There was a problem with one of the fuel lines which was rectified, and then we had a variable valve timing filter housing which sort of worked its way loose, again covered by a recall. Now we have seen a couple of these with coolant leaks and oil leaks. The coolant leaks with these, we've found that there's a bit of a weak point with the thermostat. Some of the hoses that come up to the water bottle, and then the water bottle itself actually expands. The cap becomes loose, loses pressure, and a lot of the water escapes through the top. With oil leaks, we've had cam cover gaskets, which it doesn't sound too bad, but there's a lot of stuff going on the top end of these, so they're a bit of a fiddly job, a bit time consuming. And then the only other thing that we've come across engine related is the high pressure fuel pumps. So these are driven on the top of the engine by the camshafts, and they can be a little bit noisy from cold. Okay, we'll move a little bit further back. We'll talk about the gearbox. It's a multi-clutch gearbox, as you find across most sort of supercar model ranges now. We haven't seen a great deal of issues with these gearboxes. There's been a couple of little niggly problems, and most of it has been rectified either by a regular oil change, or in some cases the actual printed circuit that's fitted inside the gearbox that operates the mechatronics, which is obviously the valve operated part of the gearbox. We'll start with the brakes. So the brakes on these, there was two options. You've got the big steel discs, or you had the ceramic options. The steel discs, pretty good, excellent stopping power. The earlier ones did have problems with the brakes warping, so the discs would actually warp. The ceramics, fantastic upgrade, excellent stopping power. One of the things you do tend to get is a little bit of squeaking. And when I say a little bit of squeaking, I mean a lot of squeaking. Hot day, a lot of braking, it's going to squeak, and unfortunately there's not really a lot you can do about it. Let's talk about the wheels. So tons of different options. For the most part you'll get the 20-inch and the 21-inch, pretty much a standard or as the optional extra. The 21s can be a little bit uncomfortable with the suspension setup on this vehicle. They also have a nasty habit of cracking and buckling. So, if you're looking at buying one of these, take it for a road test and have a little feel, just see whether there's anything vibrating, particularly around about the 70-mile-an-hour mark. While we're talking about uncomfortable, we'll move on to the suspension. So the suspension, two options available. You've got the compressed air system, and then you had the what most people call mag ride, the DRC, or the electronically operated suspension. Air suspension, absolutely brilliant, gives you a fantastic comfortable ride. You do have to watch out for rubble seal deterioration over time. You also, especially in this country, you get a bit of moisture in those air lines, and that can actually cause problems with the compressors and the actual internals of the air suspension itself. With the DRC, that is a little bit more reliable. There's a lot less going on. It is literally just a mag ride system. These are just normal, prone to leaking and your normal wear and tear. Right, so we've already spoken about the gearbox. Make sure you get it serviced regularly every 40,000 miles, and the same with your hull deck. So your four-wheel drive system, this is another part of the car that can be prone to issues if it's not looked after correctly. So if you're getting that serviced at the 40,000 interval, same as your gearbox, it should last you. If not, you can get issues with warning lights coming on. You can get the filter, there's an internal filter which isn't actually a serviceable item, but it can be removed and it can be cleaned out, so just make sure that's done at the correct service intervals. So next we're going to talk about modifications. People that own these love them, people that don't own them love them. There's a lot of potential for modifications, you can get a lot of power out of these. If you're looking at buying one, find out if it's been modified. There's a lot of modifications out on these vehicles where people have swapped parts over, exhausts in particular, but they've not remapped the vehicle to compensate for that. This can lead to all sorts of problems further down the road, particularly with back pressure, turbo issues, lack of power. So if you've got one, keep a track of everything you've had done. If you're looking at buying one, find out if they've kept track of everything that's been done. And if they haven't, find out exactly what has been done. Right, so let's talk about electrical issues. There isn't any. There's a couple. We've spoken about fuel flaps before, not unlocking. Or not locking, so we're still getting this kind of problem with these vehicles. And then the only other thing to really watch out for, it's not a problem as such, but a lot of these have got the SOS systems with the GPS tracking and so on in the event of an accident, and the batteries run out and people don't bother changing them, and then you get a display on the dash that says SOS battery. So just change your battery every couple of 3 years, absolutely fine. Right, so the Audi RS6, it's not dogged with problems, it's a fantastic car, it's exciting, it's just great, and it's cheaper than a supercar, and it'll keep up with a supercar, and it'll overtake a lot of supercars. Well worth the money.
It pops and bangs.
It pops and bangs, it definitely pops and bangs. Well, this one pops and bangs, I'm not saying they all do, but this one definitely pops and bangs. Anyway guys, just thanks for watching us. If you've enjoyed the video today, join us for the next one. Don't forget to click the like, share and subscribe buttons, and we'll see you next time.